Okay, this is the size and location dimension um, presentation. So let's get this thing started. You should sketch this part right now. Make it look just like that. You can pause the video while you sketch this in. You'll notice that there's a little hidden line right there with a little point right there. That's a 30-degree angle from the horizontal. Um, you'll notice that there's an angle right here. You can just, for the sketch, you can just kind of sketch that in for right now, and we'll give you the angle on that later. There are some rounded edges on this thing, so watch for those, some rounded edges. All right, so let me just kind of put that back. Okay, and you can go ahead and sketch away. Make sure that the thick lines are with your 0.7 pencil and the thinner lines with your 0.5 pencil. Okay. So you've paused, okay, unpause, and here we go. Let's go ahead and dimension this thing. So what I want you to do is I want you to dimension your sketch as I dimension the part. And then when you come back and dimension the part, it'll be really easy. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the line weights here, and let's get this thing started. I'm going to go to Home, I'm going to go to Dimension, and I'm going to go to Dimension. We should have our dimension styles on this problem. Let's go ahead and check that and make sure. So if I go to annotate, I should have my dimension styles, my x, my xxx, and my xxx right there. All right, we're going to start with the location dimensions. So we're going to go ahead and go to the 3 decimals. So when we have these holes in here, we have to kind of locate where they're going to be. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Let's start with linear. I'm going to go into Home here and then Linear. And let's go ahead and start by going from the center of this hole to the center of this hole, and we're going to make that 0.812. So you just go ahead and sketch this along as I'm doing it, pretty much at the pace that I'm doing it. Nice, neat Gothic lettering in there on your sketch. No zeros in front of the decimal place. All right. And let's continue. We're going to locate from the center of this hole to the center of that hole and 0.625, 1.625. And we'll put that right out there somewhere. What we don't want to do is put it too close so that it's running into the extension line of the first one. You can also move the dimension up if you think it's running into one of the other lines. Okay. Let's see. Let's keep locating here. Let's locate it from the outside edge here to the center of here. We're going to make that 1.653. So again, you're just doing this along with me. And I'm going to continue on. We're going to go from here to here. So we're just locating the holes. Now, I would like these lined up if possible. So in this case, it's really possible to line up these arrows. Just grab it and drag it. So when you do this with your sketch, just line up those arrowheads. All right, and let's continue on. We're going to locate from here to here. Now what's happening now is that the arrows, see how the arrows kind of going on the other side of the 2.5? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a double whammy here. We're going to make that arrow act for both the 1 and the 2.500. So there's actually 2 arrows in the same spot, but you can't tell. So do it just like that on your sketch, and then you can wedge that 1.00 inside. Make sure you're giving all 3 significant digits, so 1.000, not 1.00. They do mean different things. All right, let's keep locating here. We're going to locate from the bottom to the center here, and we're going to make that 1.5. So I think that pretty much locates all those holes on that top view. I don't think there's anything else we're looking for. So generally the locations are going to be locations for the center of holes. Not always, but that's for right now. Just go ahead and use that as the case. All right, looking good there. Now let's go ahead and do a couple of sizes here. So we've got these fillets on the outside, and we're going to do that by doing a radius. So we're going to do a radius dimension here, and we're going to pick that. Just going to drag that out like so. Now you'll notice that it says 0.125. Well, I would like that to actually be 2 decimals. We're going to make all of our size dimensions as 2 decimals, which means we're going to have to change the XX to the XX, like so. And you'll notice now we're in 2 decimal places. So that's what we're doing on this particular exercise. We're going to do our size dimensions to 2 decimals, and our location dimensions to 3 decimals. You'll also notice that this little center mark is in here, and that's not really desirable, so we're going to get rid of it. We're going to right click, we're going to go to Properties, and in the Properties, you will see under Lines and Arrows, you will see a place where it says center mark. See where it says right there, center mark line? We're going to change that to none. And you'll notice that the center mark goes away. You'll see a little tiny dot there. Don't worry about that. All right, that's going to stay and you can't do anything about that. All right. And so generally in the industry, they assume that if there's a radius on the outside, that the other ones that are in similar spots are the same. And sometimes they'll go in here and they'll do what's called a prefix. And they'll come in and they'll say, dim prefix right here in your primary units, they'll say, 4x and a space. And so what happens now is you get 4x, but then your radius 0.13, the radius goes away. So what you have to do is when the prefix happens, it kind of takes away that either diameter symbol or radius symbol in front. So what you have to do is you have to put it back in again. I'm going to put the R there. And now we're good. So we have a 4 times radius 0.13. So go ahead and put that in on your sketch, and then that's how you do it when you do it in AutoCAD. You pick it, you go to the properties, you come down to primary units, and you basically override what's in front. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and go to the holes here. We have 3 holes that are exactly the same size. So let's go back here. Let me close the box there just for a sec. And I'm going to change this from 3 decimals to 2 decimals. So that means we have to keep changing it every time. All right, here we go. Home. We're going to do diameter. And we're going to dimension this hole. You'll notice that the center mark is kind of going over the top of our other center mark. And we're not going to probably want that. We're going to want to get rid of that. So let's do that first. Let's go ahead and get rid of it. We're going to right click, Properties, and where it says center mark, we're going to change that to none. Kind of like we did with the radius. And you'll notice the center mark is gone. Now, we actually have 3 holes that are exactly the same size. So we want to put a 3x in front of this. So we have a diameter symbol 0.5. So I'm going to take that. We're going to go just like we did on the last one there. We're going to go down to primary units. We're going to go to dim prefix, and we're going to do 3x. And then what you'll notice is that the diameter symbol goes away. So what you can do is, just like we did on the last one there, is come back here and you're going to put a diameter symbol in there. And it's 3 times, and it's % sign, C. I think you guys have seen that one before. Boom. And there's your diameter symbol back. So 3x, % sign, C. So on your sketch, it should look like this. Okay, so we're doing pretty good here. Let's see, let's do a few more. I'm going to kind of move around a little bit on this one, and we'll come to the hardest stuff at the end. We have this, this hole right here, and it's kind of going in a certain distance. That distance, I don't know how much I made that. Let's see, what did I make that? Annotate. Let me do linear. I have no idea how far back I went on this thing. I went back 0.28. Okay, so what's happening here is this hole. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go diameter. This hole, which we haven't located yet, is a 0.25 hole. But it's going down 0.28. So what we're going to do is we're going to, a little trickery here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of that center mark. Let's see. Center mark is underlined, sorry. None. Good. Because we already, center mark is already there. Now, here comes the tricky part. We need a depth symbol there, which we're going to have to create, and then we're going to tell it's going in 0.28. So, we're going to come down here to dim suffix. Suffix means at the end. We're going to put like a couple of 3 space bars, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go 0.28. And just kind of watch where I'm going with this. Don't put it on your notes yet. All right. So then what we want to do is come in here, and we're going to just make a little symbol here. And it's going to look something like this. It's just a little line. I'm going to make a line. I'm going to use the midpoint on this, so I'm going to just for a second, I'm going to change my O snaps to midpoint. I'm going to go here. I'm going to come down. Now, the angle on this thing is a 30-degree angle. So now I'm going to come over here to my polar tracking and set this to 30. So I can make this 30 from the vertical, like that. Not 30 from the horizontal like that, 30 from the vertical. And about halfway up. Enter, enter. And like so. And that's the symbol for depth. So what we're saying now is that that diameter 25 hole is going in 0.28. So you can go ahead and put that on your sketch, and that's how you do it in AutoCAD. All right, let's see what else we have here. We do need a location for that hole. So that said, I'm going to change my my XX just for a second here back to XXX because I want to locate that hole, and I'm going to give you linear from here. Again, this is all arbitrary, so from here to here, and that's what I'm giving you. I'm giving you that 1.125. That's locating it going vertically. Now, horizontally, we've already located it. It's 1.653, so that's already done. It was just done on another view, but we needed the vertical on that, so that's what I want you to have there. All right, I think that's the only location on the front view. So I'm going to change that back, so you can go back and forth between your dimension styles, which is really handy. And let's do some sizes here. Some of these sizes are pretty easy. Let's see. Let's go from here to here. 0.38. I'm just going to do these, and you just go ahead and sketch them as I'm doing them. We have another one right here from here to here. 0.38, and you see the way the arrows are pointing there. You could probably fit the 38 inside like this, and that would be fine. Either way, both of those are completely good industry standard, no problem at all. They just don't want it squished so that you know the number's squished inside, so it's hard to read. So either way, inside or outside will work on that one. Okay, let's see what else do we have here. We have a height. Let's go ahead and dimension from the bottom here all the way to the top. We have an issue with that crisscrossing there. They don't like it when these cross, so we're going to have to talk about that in a minute. All right, and let's see, what else do we have? We have another dimension from here to here, and that, again, that's just the way it's being given. Now, because this is happening, notice that it's starting to squish inside here. So what I have to do is I have to take that and move it out. Now, these can be moved up and down a little bit so that the numbers aren't running into each other. Like, you don't want to have a situation like this where the numbers are running into each other. Someone might misread that as 2.132. So stagger them so they don't run into each other. They don't have to be right in the middle of the dimension line. That looks pretty good right there. Okay, there are minimums. We talked about that already. You know, from how far apart they have to be away from the view and away from each other. All right, let's see. We do have a radius inside here. This is going to be a little problematic here, but we're going to have to do that. Do a radius. And this one right here. So yeah, kind of yikes right there. So we do have a kind of a problem with that center mark there. Center mark's no problem. It needs to go away. So we're going to properties and turn off the center mark. And that part's easy. So here's the problem. They don't like it when arrows cross with extension lines. So what you have to do is you have to take the extension line and just kind of wiggle it out there a little bit. So I'm just picking on this. See how the the extension lines running through the leader? They don't want that. So we're going to just drag that out a little bit. You can still see it's coming from that edge, but now it's not crossing. And then what I would do on this one is I might even take this 0.38 and just move it over on the other side so these guys aren't running into each other. So that's part of the sketch. You know, when you're sketching, you just have to kind of, where am I going to put these dimensions, and start making some decisions. Also, we have an issue right here, right? Because these are crossing as well. So the easy play on this one would be to take this and maybe just move it a little bit like that. But when you do, you've lost your your little symbol there. So we're just going to move that whole thing. Take this whole thing right here and move it. Try not to let the O snaps boss you around. Something like that. and that's fine. Just they don't like it when, again, when leader lines and extension lines cross. It makes it harder to read. Okay, let's see if I'm missing anything here. Okay, so now what we have is this is called a cylinder. It's basically a circular object like a can that is extruding up. And this is the way you're going to do it. You're going to do it as a linear. You're not going to do it like this. You're not going to go like this and do it here. Even though technically that's correct, that's not the way we're going to do it. We're going to do it like this. We're going to do it to the flat part. Linear from here to here. And then what's going to happen is we're going to put a diameter and symbol in front of that. That's how they do cylinders. Again, more on that later on. There's reasons for it and all that. But for right now, we're going to take that and we're going to go back to that prefix. Remember prefix from the other ones we were doing, dim prefix. And we're going to put in a diameter symbol, which is a %sign C. Like that. Now we have another problem. We have another crisscrossing. So again, we got to just take that little guy and we're going to move it so it's not crisscrossing any of the extension lines. But now I've got to, again, move the symbol. When you get to SolidWorks, they make this a lot easier. Okay. So again, you're going to have to erase, move things around, do everything really light, and then you can darken at the end. Okay, let's see. We do have some radii right in here. This is going to be kind of a quirky one. So when you do this one, you're going to do it as a radius. Now on this one, you just have to kind of slowly, just like that. Don't move your mouse too much. If you do, it'll kind of go to the circle thing right here. You don't want that. And then just kind of boom, just like that. That's all we're going to do. From there, things can be extended and stretched out, but right now, just do it like that. That'll be fine. And that covers the other side here because it's kind of going around in a circle. Okay, let's see. Am I forgetting anything? Sometimes I have to look at my notes here too. That looks pretty good. Okay, now we got a couple of tricky ones here. Let's start with this thing called a counter bore. So what's happening on this counter bore is they've drilled a hole, and then they've drilled another bigger hole. And the bigger hole usually holds the bolt head, and then the little part right here in the middle holds the like the threads or whatever. Okay, so here it comes. It's going to be kind of a long one here. So we're going to start with a diameter. So this hole right here is going to be a like a 112, and then this one here is a 175, and it's gonna go down a certain distance. We do need to find out how far down that thing is going. Let's find that out. How far down does this go? It goes down. So the counterbore is going down 0.38. Okay, so here we go. Let's start with the diameter. Now this diameter here is 0.76. So just remember that one, okay? Because we're going to do it this way. Okay, so it's going to get a little complicated. So just kind of hang with me here. Okay, so this is the larger hole. This is the bigger hole here. This is the 0.76 hole right here. All right, so here's where it goes. I'm going to right click properties, and we're going to go back to prefix, and we said 0.76, so it's %sign C 0.76, and then we have to have a space where it's called a counterbore. I'm going to do like 1 2 3 4 5 6 spaces. And then we had a depth of, I think it was 0.38, right? So I'm going to give like maybe 3 spaces and then 0.38. All right, so we already have the depth symbol. Let me steal that. We had that right here. Take that depth symbol and so move this out of the way here a little bit. And I'm going to copy it. Again, don't write this down until I'm done. Right there. And then we're going to do what's called a counterbore symbol, and it looks something like this. Okay, now it's not quite done yet. Don't do it yet. Now, what happens on this is that this is the 1.5 hole, and because we did this this prefix, we lost our diameter symbol. So we have to go back. That's where I told you it was getting kind of hairy. And we have to go back here into the dimension prefix. And so it says dimension prefix. We have %sign, %sign C, 0.76, right? And I did a bunch of spaces, right? 5 or 6. Now I have to go %sign C, and that'll put my diameter symbol in there. And when I do that, it messed up my symbol here. So I have to move that from here just back like that. And that's what it's supposed to look like. So yeah, sorry, it's kind of weird, but that's the way you have to do it in AutoCAD. So that's it right there. So you want to go ahead and put that on your dimensions just like that. And again, for your notes, if you go to the prefix, that's %sign C, that's a diameter symbol, 0.76, and then the spaces to fit the counterbore symbol, and then the circle or the diameter symbol, which went away, and then like 3 spaces, then 0.38, so you have enough room for the depth symbol. So that's a counterbore. Counterbore. You do that with bolts and stuff. All right. And it gets even better. We have this one here. It's called a countersink. So countersinks are for like screws and stuff like that. So we have to do that one. It's going to be very similar to what we just did. Just as complicated, pretty much. So here we go. So we have this first circle, which is a diameter of 0.5, and the larger circle, which is a diameter of 0.75. All right. So here we go. We're going to dimension diameter. Pick the outside. Okay, so so the way they do these is you drill a hole first. So that was the 0.5, right? So we're gonna prefix %sign C, 0.5, and then we're gonna need a space for the countersink symbol. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, be 5. That's probably be fine. And then we'll do our %sign C, very much like we did before. And then on the bottom, we're going to do a multiplication symbol. And then usually these are like 90 degrees or 88 degrees. We're going to go ahead and make ours 90 degrees. So 90, and then the degree symbol is %sign, degree would be D, and it looks something like that. So then what we do is we come in and we do a countersink symbol, and it's going to look something like this. Back to my polar tracking, I'm going to make that to 45. We want these to be a 90-degree angle, so like that and like that. I could have done a little bit better on that. I'm going to move that just a widget. I probably should have put maybe another space, because that 6 spaces wasn't very good. So if I just took this, I come back here and I go, oh, I did 5 spaces, but that didn't really work for me very well. I'm just going to put maybe one more space in there, space, and that'll open it up just a little bit for me. All right, so that's what it should look like, just like that. And you can take off the center mark if you want there. So taking off the center mark there, because there's already center mark there, so we don't really need that one there. Just like that. Okay, let's see. Let's take a look at it here again. I'm just going to double check my work here. I've located this hole. I've located these holes. I've located. I've got the size of those 3. I've got the size of that countersink. I've got the size of that counterbore. I've got this cylinder with the diameter sign on the flat part. I've got this partially drilled hole. Overall length. I don't have an overall length, do I? Ugh. We want that to be between the views. So let's go into linear. And from here to here, in between the views. Oh boy, now I've got a crisscrossing here again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to move that. So this is the way it goes with the dimensioning. I'm going to try to move that to a spot where it's not going to crisscross. I just have to move that separately here. So you just have to get a little bit, it's problem solving. It's like, where can I put it and not break the rules? That looks pretty good right there, actually. Let's see, got the overall height at 2.5. The overall width, is there an overall width? I don't have that. And that is 3.0. So linear from here to here, and like so. Okay, I think that's it. So again, make sure your sketch has all that stuff, and you can use this this demo as a helper to what did he do again on that part. And if I missed one, then you have to fix it. So that's pretty close to what it should look like. And of course, we go back to the B-size sheet. Let's turn off our text to layer. The name of this, you can just do size and location. So title, sorry, I'm not being nice to me here. Size and location. Actually, we did quite a bit more on this. We did size, location. We also did a bunch of like counterbores and countersinks, some of the tricky stuff. I think this is like C41. You guys know how to do the rest of this stuff. Okay, and let's go ahead and let's see how it fits. I think it'll fit okay, but let's find out. Let's put this in the viewport layer, and let's make a viewport. Ooh, let's see. I'm going to right click and properties. I already got properties there. And standard scale is going to be 1:1. Yikes. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that I have to get a little more creative here, huh? So, because I want this thing to fit. It looks like it fits okay at 1:1. Sort of, right? But it's not fitting perfectly. First thing I can do is I can move it a little bit this way. More, it's not hitting the border though. That's helping a little bit, but it's still a little rough up on the top up here, huh? So what can I do about that? Well, you have to do sometimes, you have to just kind of play with it a little bit. So for example, I could take this dimension, which I went really far out, and I could bring this a little closer. That means I have to move that. So let's see, move. And let's see how it looks now. Now I can go ahead and move it a little bit more. I think that's going to get pretty close. It's going to be a little bit to the right. Now be real careful on this where, see how it's cutting, my viewport's cutting off my dimension. Make sure your viewport doesn't cut off your dimension. Also make sure your dimension doesn't hit the border line. So this one's it's a little tough. Looks like this is running into my 3.00 is running into the title block a little bit. I think I can probably fix that by just moving these a little closer to the part without breaking the rule. Again, this one, without breaking the rule, I think I can move that up there a little bit. Again, you're just making a couple of modifications so that it fits the way you want it. And sometimes you have to scale it down. It just isn't going to fit. But this case, I believe that you can make this fit. No problem. It fits at 1:1. So if I pick on this thing, it is at 1:1. So the standard scale 1:1. And that should do it. That's C41.